Bam, ba-da-ba.
Okay, so did you know that Abe Lincoln and Thomas Edison are starting new adventures? Well, Teresa Carter is here, and she is making history fun by turning real role models into superheroes. Hi, Teresa. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Okay, so your company and your line of books and DVDs and such that go with it, AmeriTales. And AmeriTales is really caught our eye because it's an interesting thing. It highlights history, but it kind of merges some fiction in with it. So tell us about what this is and how it works.
Absolutely. What we're trying to do with AmeriTales is really make history more fun, entertaining, and relevant for children. And so what we've done is we've taken real-life heroes like Abraham Lincoln and Thomas Edison and Amelia Earhart and kind of put them into a more entertaining storytelling format, what you would typically see for a superhero. So we have our real-life hero, Abraham Lincoln, who goes on a quest. He has helpers along the way. He has an enemy or a foe that he encounters along the way, and he goes through this journey to try to accomplish something. And so the bottom line is what we're trying to do is introduce these characters to children at a very young age so that they can develop a lifelong interest in history as they see them as more, not just, typical history facts and figures and very heavy, but fun and entertaining and adventures.
What is the age group for the books?
We're targeting children in that 4 to 10-year-old age group, basically from kindergarten up to about the 4th grade. So
it sounds like you're just kind of trying to introduce them to Amelia Earhart and Abraham Lincoln in a story, but is there any of it that is misleading for them, do you think, or is it just kind of pretty simple and cut and dry? But actually, you and I were talking, you said that in the Abraham Lincoln story, he walks through the forest, and that was something that Abraham Lincoln really liked to do.
Absolutely. The stories are based upon true things that happened in the lives of these individuals. As an example, with Abraham Lincoln, he did love to read. He would walk through the forest for miles and miles and miles just to borrow a book. So that's all very factual. The personality of Abraham Lincoln, as we presented in the book, in terms of his clowning nature, how he liked to have fun with animals, all of that is very true. And we also have at the end of the book a section where we try to explain to children in a little bit more detail what was actually factual and what was a little bit of fiction that we put in there to enhance the storytelling.
Fun. What in the world gave you this idea? I mean, you're a longtime businesswoman. I mean, heavy hitter with Coca-Cola in Atlanta, big time. You end up out here in San Diego with your husband. How did you come up with this idea?
I have 4 children of my own, and my oldest child is now a freshman in college, and I have always loved history, and I wanted to share my love of history with him. But he thought it was boring. He was more into the Power Rangers. He wanted to have nothing to do with history. And so when my younger children came along years later, I have a 10-year-old and a set of 7-year-old twins, I didn't want to go through that same thing with them, and so I thought, wow, here's my son. He's so crazy about SpongeBob. He's crazy about The Incredibles. How can I take real-life heroes and turn them into more like action figures so that he would have an interest in them? And so that's how the idea emanated, and it went from there.
So do you read these books to your kids? I mean, do you guys read them together? How is it all working for you? It seems to me like it's a really neat idea. I mean, it definitely caught our eye. How cool, to get kids. Because don't get me started on this, Teresa, but I think learning is fun. Learning is exciting and fun, and it should be fun. Period. End of story. Science, math, history, all of it is fun, and it should never be hard. It should never be made to be hard. So is it working for you? Because for us, this was like, hey, Bing, this is great.
Oh, it's working very, very well. In fact, you asked about my children. They actually have given me some ideas, and, I read the stories to them, so they are involved with them from day one when I develop a manuscript. So, and that's the whole idea behind it. History is not just facts and figures. It's real people, real characters who are fun, who are adventurous, who go on these daring journeys that kids really don't know anything about. I mean, if you ask the typical child about Abraham Lincoln, they'll tell you something about, well, he grew up in a log cabin. heaven, he was president, he freed the slaves, and he kept the country together. No, there's so much more to know about him in terms of his love of reading, his love of animals, all the things he went through, his humble beginnings. You know, kids can really relate to his story and look at it and say, wow, if Abraham Lincoln went through all of that and became president, you know, and didn't even own a book, had to walk through the forest to actually borrow books, then, you know, just imagine what I could do with my life. So they're very inspiring stories and terrific role models for children, and we just want to get them excited about them, and that's where all the action, adventure, and drama comes in.
Oh, how fun. Well, Teresa, thank you for being here. Did I misread when I thought I saw there was DVDs too, or is it just books?
We're starting off with books, but that is our next step. We're going to move on to DVDs, interactive games, but we're starting with a series of books.
Got it.
So we've got Abraham Lincoln. Next coming up is a huge adventure about Amelia Earhart and the Haunted Winds of Kansas, and then we're doing Thomas Edison, a book called Thomas Edison and the Fog of Port Huron, which is that's my kid's favorite, actually. Yeah. Real exciting story about him and some of the misadventures that he had as a kid that children will really relate to.
Well, keep us posted. I think it's a great idea. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me, and I would love to come back and talk about some of the books that are coming up.
Great work. Thank you.
Thank you
very much.